I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how I take my own Instagram photos. Hey y'all, what is up? It's me, Brittany, and today I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how I take my own Instagram photos. So if you want to level up your content game, or maybe you want to just create a cohesive brand aesthetic for your business or personal brand, or maybe you want to land brand deals or larger paid brand deals, then keep on watching because I got you covered. Okay, in step one, so first of all, you want to gather inspiration, and before you even go to gather inspiration, it's super vital, from my professional opinion, to use my brand guide, which is right here, and I have my mood board in there so I can capture photos that are super on brand. I have my color palette and all that good stuff. So this is like a guiding force in me even choosing my inspiration photos and making sure I'm keeping things super on brand and having like everything be cohesive. Like if you are a business owner, I highly recommend hiring a professional brand designer to create a whole professional brand strategy and design for you. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. That's me. Listen, okay, I know how frustrating it can be when you have such great ideas in your mind, such great ideas of how you want your photos to look and stuff, but you just cannot seem to capture them. You ask your mom to take the picture of you, you ask your man, you ask your friends, or maybe you even hire a photographer and they're just not coming out the way that you want. Maybe the color, like the filter, the whole overall aesthetic of them just doesn't match what you're trying to go for, or maybe you don't know exactly what aesthetic you're trying to go for and all your pictures have different looks to them. I literally struggled with this for years, guys, like legitimately since like 2013 when I really started getting in front of the camera and blogging back then when I had a fashion blog. And it was honestly like I stressed over it way too much, and I don't know why I waited this long to start taking my own photos, and I kind of want to like pluck myself for not starting sooner. So I'm here to save you guys all that time, all that stress, all that hassle, and show you guys how to just get to it and do it on your own so you don't have to rely on other people. You know, other people have busy schedules as well, and if they're not like, or if you're not one of those blessed people who have like a very supportive boyfriend or husband or best friend who, you know, works hand in hand with you on this stuff, then I've always wanted that, but I'm still praying on it. Maybe I'll come across a best friend who, you know, we can do that for each other. So if you're out there, hit me up. Let's be best friends. But anyways, if you don't have that, then you're gonna need to start taking your own photos. Honestly, like, it's just the truth of the matter. It's, you know how you want it to be taken, you know how you want it to look, and it's just so much easier, so much more efficient. So I hope that you guys can really learn from this, and let's just get straight into it. So first and foremost, you want to gather inspiration, and you can go as vague with this or as detailed as possible. Back when I was like a fashion stylist and I had to essentially creative direct shoots and create the whole concept behind them, we went into detail of gathering, like making mood boards for lighting, for hair and makeup, for wardrobe, and for poses and location and all that stuff. So like essentially every time that I plan a shoot, like a serious shoot where I'm actually getting all done up and I'm getting dressed, which is like maybe once a month, once every few months, then I go all out like that. Otherwise, it's kind of second nature to me now when I'm doing like my more just regular like Instagram content for throughout the days, throughout the week. I don't spend too much time planning it out and creating mood boards for everything, but I definitely do create a Pinterest board, and I also save inspiration posts on Instagram to a collection titled Photoshoot Inspo. Or if I have a specific shoot coming up, like a brand photo shoot, or like for my business, or maybe I have a hair care brand who's sending me products, I'll create like a separate collection for that as inspiration. And when it comes down to the time where I'm about to shoot, I like to either screenshot them and save them to my phone so I have them right there in my camera roll, easy access, rather than going onto an app and scrolling through all these inspiration photos. I like to keep things simple, streamlined, and organized, and it's so simple. So to reiterate, you want to gather inspiration. I really love using Pinterest and Instagram for this, and look for inspiration for multiple things and maybe make notes on them so you know what the inspiration is for. Like I said, if you see a photo with a pose that you really like and you want to try that out, then do that. Professionals go to photo shoots with shot lists of exact shots that they want to get. Experienced models, experienced bloggers always have some sort of inspiration to go off of. And now when I say inspiration, make sure you're not exactly imitating. We don't want to do that. And you guys know, if you've been here for a while, I don't stand behind that. People put a lot of, effort and time into creating their art, and I'm sure like if you're watching this, you're a creative as well, so tap into your own creativity and who you are. What's your unique standpoint? What makes you different? Is it your hairstyles? Is it like the energy you give off, the poses, like your wardrobe? Whatever it is, tap into what makes you you and take the inspiration photo and turn it into something that represents you. Don't do a complete like imitation of someone else's work. Another tip for not imitating people is when you're actually shooting, don't look at the inspiration photos and then go to shoot each photo. Like, get a good idea, look through them before the shoot, and then at the shoot just kind of go off of your memory and do what feels right, do what feels natural. And I think that's an easy way to kind of put your own spin on things and not exactly copy someone else's photo. Whereas if you're looking at it there, then you're gonna try and like get the right exact angles and stuff, and we don't want that. Okay, so that's it, gather inspiration. Okay, so next we need equipment, of course. How are we going to take the photos, right? So at this point, you've gathered your inspiration. Now what you're going to need to take your photos is some sort of camera. Right now I'm recording on my DSLR, and I prefer to shoot with my DSLR 99% of the time, and this is only a strategy I started implementing like a year ago. I've had my camera since 2013. Ask me why. I was lazy. I didn't want to take the time to really figure out how to completely use it on my own and set it up. To taking my own photos with my camera just seemed like too big of a deal and too big of a hassle and too much work and too much to learn. And I was lazy and I felt like I didn't have the time, but you in fact do have time. So I really want to strongly push you to use a DSLR camera if you have one. If you don't have one right now and you don't have the means to purchase one, don't let that stop you from creating content. If you have a smartphone, iPhones have impeccable cameras these days. Just make sure you're wiping off your camera lens on your phone before you use it. Always, always, always do that. And you'll be good to go. You just need a good camera that's going to take the photos. But I do want to say that taking photos with a DSLR and a good lens is definitely going to up level the content that you're creating. Your photos are just going to look so much more professional and aesthetically pleasing, and brands are way more likely to want to work with you if you do have professional images. But like I said, you don't need it to get started. So start where you're at, start with what you got. Okay, second, you're gonna need some sort of self-timer, which if you're using your phone, you do have a self-timer in your phone, but I really don't recommend that. Like, you can, but honestly, you can just get a remote like this one off of Amazon for super cheap. I got this one for $10. Unfortunately, this one is now sold out, and I guess they discontinued it. And this one is for my DSLR, but they also have ones for iPhones, and I will link some of those below in the description. So go and check those out and get yourself one today, especially if you live in America where you get Amazon Prime shipping in like 2 days, and not like me where you have to wait a whole month or two. Like, you would just be silly to not do that. So go get a camera remote. It's so easy to set up. Literally, you put a battery in it, and usually they come with a battery already. And I'm pretty sure you connect it through Bluetooth, and that's it. And then boom, 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 it takes photos for you. So simple. So that's if you're using your phone. Get a camera. If you're using your camera, I'm not sure about like Nikon's and other brands, but I use a Canon, and they have a Canon Camera Connect app, and this is like my holy grail. It has a built-in like live view remote where you can actually see the photo and like, you know, get your posing right and do all that, and release the shutter from there. And it gives you like a 2-second timer until the shutter releases, so you can hide your phone if you need to. Super clutch. Oh my gosh. And you can look at the photos afterwards as well. It's so easy, especially if you're on the go. Like, a lot of times when I'll take some photos for Instagram, we'll be out for the day, and like we'll just stop somewhere, take photos, and then we'll like go eat or do something. And it's nice to be able to like have that option to download my favorites right then and there and edit them in my Lightroom mobile app. Boom. Okay, Or you can get a camera remote. I also have one linked in my Amazon shop. I'll link it below. Like I said, this one's sold out, but they do have some alternative options. I do prefer using this sometimes, especially like if I'm having connectivity issues with my phone. I like to have both. It's always good to have a backup. Okay, so now you've got a camera, you've got a remote. Next, you need a tripod. So I'm actually filming on my tripod right now, but I will insert a picture right here of what mine looks like, and I'll show you how I set it up right now. So I set up my tripod. I don't recommend this one. If you're on a tight budget, it gets the job done. It's super cheap and you get what you pay for. Just be careful not to take pictures in a super windy place because it doesn't have good, stability because it's very cheap and flimsy. But it does get the job done, like I said, and then you just, attach your camera, and it starts super low from the ground at like, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 feet, and it can go all the way high up to about like 5 feet tall. You can angle the swivel portion to angle upwards, sideways, downwards, whatever your preference is. And yeah, it's so simple. Get your focus right. Probably the easiest way to do that is using an autofocus lens, because if you're going to manually be focusing, well, not an autofocus lens, like every lens has autofocus, I'm pretty sure. But make sure you're putting your lens on autofocus and not manual focus, especially if you're alone and you don't have someone to stand in and get the focus right. It'll automatically focus for you. You don't have to worry about that. Amazing. And then obviously with the iPhone, you're good. It doesn't even matter. It automatically does that for you. Okay, so literally all these equipment items that I'm mentioning are going to be linked below. Okay, so now you've got your camera, your remote, and your tripod. This is optional, and if you're someone like me who's a stay-at-home mom and you don't usually have the time or liberty to go and take photos during the day when the sun is out, or during golden hour when the light is just gorgeous, you might want to invest in studio lighting. So what I use is a softbox, and I like to have it angled like really close to me, up a lot higher than I am, and down at like a 45-degree angle, kind of focusing a little bit more slightly on one side of my face because I do like shadows. But you can also like have it like straight on. It'll create more of a soft balance look. And the reason why I like soft boxes over like, what are they called, trigger lights, oh my gosh, I forget the name, blinking, is because they do create like a very soft, overall soft, like enveloped type of lighting over the whole subject. This is optional, like I said, but it does make a difference, especially for YouTube videos. I did use this in these photos here, which I'm actually going to show you how I set this whole set up and how I took these photos on my own in a second. And then last but not least is obviously like props. I am big on having props. It's kind of a personal preference thing. Maybe you just prefer to take pictures like in front of blank walls or super minimal, but I think props are a really great, fun, and easy way to like tell a story with a photo, to express who you are, your personality, your brand's personality. For me, I like to incorporate like sheets or like draped fabric that's not like perfect. It kind of just shows like the beauty and imperfection. And I like dried flowers and vases, ceramic vases. It's like my vibe, you know what I'm saying? So that's part of my brand. Think about what your brand embodies and incorporate that into your photos. And honestly, and that's essentially all you really need for equipment. Okay, so now we've got our inspiration, we've got our equipment. Next, you want to set up the set, or pick your setting. So if you're shooting outside or something, you don't necessarily have to bring anything with you, but like I said, that's personal preference. You can set up other props or whatever to make it more personalized to you. If you are going to be doing a shoot like this one that I'm going to show you guys how I set up, like I did in my house, I like to set up, like I have this one little aesthetic corner in my house where obviously you can see I have this draped backdrop, I have my little plants and all that good stuff. So I'm like, all right, this is gonna be great for me to take a photo at because it's on brand. I could probably do one in my bedroom as well. It's pretty minimal, it's pretty on brand for me. I would like that. Everywhere else in my house honestly isn't cute because we live in ugly military housing. But anyways, okay, so for example, I wanted to take photos on my couch the other day. I did a few just fun ones for my Instagram, and I did some for a brand shoot. I'll insert them right here. So I knew that like if I just got everything in the background of behind my couch, the photo would be way too cluttered. And I'm realizing as I'm like stepping up my aesthetic Instagram game that less is more. keeping things super minimal and the least amount of objects in a photo makes it just way more visually appealing. People are more likely to stop and like really look at it. So I knew that I wanted to create like more of a on brand vibe with this photo. So I'm not gonna sit here and take a photo like this on my couch because it's just way too much going on in the background. It's way too distracting. It just doesn't tell a story. It's not interesting, honestly. So instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna angle my camera a little bit where you can see all of the frames on my wall, because like that's just so me, like the antique frames. I love it. It shows how I decorate my house, which I feel like tells a lot about a person. And you can see I brought my little pampas grass that I usually have next to my bed, and I put it right next to my couch so that it was in the photo, and it just gave a little bit more texture, a little bit more life, and a little bit more of my brand colors. So, and then I set my ISO or my f-stop to a low depth of field because I want the background to be blurry. So in order to do that, essentially your f-stop on your camera is going to need to be at the lowest number possible, and that's how you get that really blurred background with the subject being super in focus. So look at the difference between this one and this one. Aren't you so much more likely to like this one? So that's just a quick tip on how to set up your space if you're working with something that maybe isn't so visually appealing. I will be making a video that I'll dive super deep into what makes a really good aesthetic photo. So just, you know, if you want to see that, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification so that you get notified when I do post that video, because that's going to be a really good one, and I think it's so vital to know basic photography principles and to also learn how to break them so that you can create like super dope creative images. Okay, so then I'm going to show you how I got this photo right here. So I know I wanted to take the photos in this corner, but there's too much going on, right? So I had to move my daughter's high chair out of the way. I had to move over the side table with the plants on it. I actually think I moved it completely out of the photo. I moved it behind the white backdrop, and I just draped it over that. I just love that look of like fabric draped over like a table or something. It just gives like such a, I don't know, like artistic, editorial, almost like painterly vibe. And I thought that was really, really cool to do. And then I just placed a vase and a candle on there. I brought my pampas grass into the photo, and then I moved this little guy, this little vase with this other dried plants or whatever they are, to my corner table that is a lot closer to the camera to add some depth, and that would be out of focus. And I really love that look of like a photo looking through plants or something and it's out of focus. It just adds a lot more visual interest. And then I knew that my floor is super ugly and it just was not gonna work, and I knew I wanted to like not be on a chair and have more of a, I don't know, like fun, relaxed, to express who you are, your personality, your brand's personality, make it fashion type vibe. So what I did was I just took my comforter from my bed, which is all white, and I just like threw it on the floor and I let it be messy and like let it be bunched up. I didn't even worry about perfecting it because I like that texture. It adds interest, right? So I did that for some of the photos, and then for some of the other photos I just used my side table as a bench or a stool and I posed on that. And I set up my camera like I showed you before, and I just, for these I used my remote because it was easier to just click and hide it, and I will just hide it in my hand, or I will just stick it under my leg or something. So that's how I set those photos up. And for these I knew that I wanted to have like mainly 3 different props or elements, and I wanted the plants and stuff in it. I wanted to have my laptop in some because I wanted to use these for branding, marketing materials, and for my website. And I knew that I wanted to have my daughter Sage in some of them because my whole brand is about like being a mompreneur, right? So I have to show my daughter in them. And so like what I did was I wanted to kind of keep with that editorial type vibe. So I just had her only with her diaper and a cute little black bloomers. Her diaper to keep it super minimal and not distracting, and like just give off that like raw feeling of motherhood and like beautiful little cute little squishy baby. And then I set up my light. Like I said, I angled it downwards from an angle a little bit off to the side and downwards towards me. And honestly, then we just moved on to the next step, and I just started snapping away, and I would just take a bunch of photos, and then I'd go check and see if I like them, and if maybe something was out of focus, or maybe something needed to move over a little bit. As you can see, like in these I have the pampas grass a little bit closer to me, and then in these I moved it over a little bit more. Also, when setting up, I have a hallway right here, and I didn't like the way that like you could see the gap. So what I did was I put this room divider right there, and like it's on brand, and it like just made it look more like an actual set rather than I'm taking this in the corner of my dining room by the hallway to my kitchen. So little things like that, like paying attention to detail, just trying things and playing around with them is what's really going to take it to the next level and really create like an artistic, you know, feel and look to a photo. I know that this probably seems like really extra, but if you really want to take being a content creator seriously, like it's a job. It's not something that you can just take out your phone and boom, 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 and not put any thought into it and have great photos. It's not realistic. So you have to think of it as a job, but if you love it, then it's not going to be fun. I mean, it's not going to be like a chore or, you know, actually really, really fun. I feel so blessed to be able to do this. It's so fun to be able to just create in your own home and not have to work with like a whole team like I used to in fashion photo shoots. And I love that, you know, for its purpose, but for, you know, taking your own photos, you get to have full creative freedom. It's so amazing. And like I said, I know it seems a little bit extra, but you know, think about if you were working a 9-to-5, or if you have or are, then you know how it is. Like you have to do a lot of like little details and put in a lot of effort to get the job done right. So this is no different, except it's just, you know, it's a lot more fun and a lot more creative for people like us, and you know, we find interest in it. But you do have to put in the effort and, you know, invest in yourself a little financially, and the time. You know, you have to put in the time to prepare and learn the basics of photography. You know, instead of sitting there and watching Netflix all day, you know, have a YouTube playlist going of how to, you know, take good photos, or how to set up lighting. You know, start like going down that rabbit hole to learn and get more skills and more expertise. Like think about like literally like your time in exchange for value. What are you spending your time on? Because that's what's going to be given back to you. If you're spending it on, you know, nothing all the time, and you're distracted from work, and you're having music play, or like, I don't know, Netflix play, or whatever it is, you know, you can't expect to learn much from that. You know, you really do get out what you put in to your time. So I hope that this really inspired you guys. So I do this, I shoot for about like 45 minutes to an hour. Usually it's always better to overshoot than undershoot. And then I constantly look back at my camera to see if I'm getting the photos that I really wanted. And if I have, then great. I will then pull my SD card into my laptop, load the photos into Lightroom, and just quickly skim through them and make sure I got good ones. If I feel like I need to go back and get some more, then perfect, because that's why I leave all my equipment and stuff up during this time, because if I do need to go back and shoot again, everything's already where it was. I don't need to do anything else but put my SD card back in my camera and start taking more photos. But let's say that everything else is good to go, the photos look great, then that's when I kind of like take everything down and put everything back where it needs to be, because I'm shooting in my house and I have a child who likes to crawl everywhere and get into everything. So, you know, you got to be safe. And then that's pretty much it. That's how I take my photos. And then the next step essentially is just going in and editing, which I'm not going to cover in this video for time's sake. I want to respect you guys' time. And so if you're interested in seeing exactly how I edit photos and how I edited these photos, then make sure that you hit that bell notification, because I'm going to be posting that video next week. Okay, so at this point of the video, you guys should have learned how to gather inspiration for your photo shoots and the importance of it, what equipment you'll need and what you don't really need, and how to use it, and how to set up your set or your location and get the right angles and things like that you want to capture. You've learned how important it is to include props, and maybe you have an idea of what props you want to include in your photos. You've learned how to set up your camera if you're using a DSLR so that you can take the best photos and using your app or your remote to take them. And you've learned my process on just like how I go about all that, my workflow. I really, really hope that this was helpful for you guys. Like I said, in my next video, I'll be showing you guys how I edit photos. So stay tuned for that. And thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all. Have a blessed day.